Check, check, check. Hey, everybody, just in case you didn't know this, so Hugman's Game Day Superstore has Beat Alabama shirts out in the lobby. So if you want to get these, they have a few out there if you want to get them. So as it helps we transition from Saturday to this Saturday, will help in the process. You can buy those. I get them in white and red, Hugman's Game Day Superstore. We're running a couple minutes behind. Marty Smith just got here. He's on with the buzz. We'll get him in here and we'll get started. But just want to make sure you guys knew about Hogman's being down here, right out there in the lobby. It's going to be a fun meeting today. We needed Marty Smith today. I did. So we'll get started here in just a minute. I know. It's dangerous. How about that? No, top 10. No, top 10. No, top 10. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So RJ is going to leave. He's got to go take care of those two police officers. So, hey, Gary, just maybe when we get ready, RJ has to leave early. When it's time to transition this and this, just those two things.
Gotcha. Get it out. We'll get it. I can handle that. Right? Yep. No, that's manual labor. That's not in my contract.
No, I would stick around, but we had two police officers. One day I'm able. So I'm leaving here.
Yeah.
Go to the hospital. I've got a bunch of drinks. I know my
I saw that. Oh, it makes me sick thinking about it. Wow.
Yes, yeah, I'm glad you said that.
They're one of our good sponsors, too.
I talked to Heather. That's fine. We can do something afterward. Or if you see an action shot that you do without, you know. Okay, whatever you want to do. Okay. Check, 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 check. All right. All right, everybody. Check, check, check. How we sound back in the back corners? Thumbs up. Wes, back there, you hear us? Good. Back there in the back, we good? All right. No? Yeah, good. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I swear, it's 1,000 degrees at this podium and 20 below out there at the check-in desk. I don't know how that works. Listen, I was in Jerry's world for 4 hours. How does he keep that place at 72 degrees the whole time? And we struggle. Maybe it's all the hot air. It's the hot air up at the podium, I guess, is what it is. Well, listen, today was going to be a victorious celebration of game day being announced, going to Fayetteville. We had Marty here. It's going to be so exciting. And then Saturday happened. So today is therapy day. I can't think of a better guy to have here than we need a Marty party. We need a Marty party with Marty Smith today, and I'm so glad he's here today. Yes. Because I don't know about you guys, that was a gut punch. That was a gut punch. And you know what? I love Jerry Jones. You know, Stephen Jones and I played together. I don't want to go back there. Don't want to go back there and play A&M again. Never, never. We can play somebody else, I'm done with them. There's some kind of weird juju going on down there, but Bermuda Triangle or whatever it is. But we're going to get through it today. We're going to have a good meeting. We appreciate everyone being here. This is week number 7. Hard to believe. Making progress. Think about this. Sam Pittman, John Gruden, Coach Orgeron, Yurchek, Herb Street, Paul Feinbaum, and today Marty Smith. Just from a broadcasting standpoint, we have Kirk Herbstreit, Paul Feinbaum, and then Marty Smith today, who is the premier reporter, on-air host, broadcaster in America right now. And I just want to make sure, so to show you the way that the Little Rock Touchdown Club rolls out the red carpet, Marty, you can just acknowledge by moving your head up and down. So our man Wes Sutton, who always greets our speakers with Popeye and Twin City Limo, he made sure that you had Skittles in a red bag, Reese's Cup 2-count, birthday cake protein bars, buffalo or barbecue sunflower seeds, and the only thing that we couldn't get was small chocolate milk in a carton. That's the only thing we didn't get.
Most impressive thing that's happened to me in age.
Most impressive thing, how about that? That's the little things we do at Little Rock Touchdown Club. Good job, Wes. Charlie, we could have got from Coleman, from Highland Dairy. I know. We'll work on that the next time we get him. That's right. That's exactly right. Also, too, not only do we have Marty Day, Peter Burns next week's going to be great when we celebrate the win over Alabama. That will be exciting next week to be a part of that. I told Marty we are hurting today. For those of us that are Razorback fans, we're hurting, but we're going to get over it. We're blessed in so many ways. And Gary, will you come up and lead us in a word of prayer? I'm sure you have something very profound to share with us today.
After Saturday at Jerry's World, I decided I would wear my OU shirt today. Then Norman, Oklahoma happened. I ain't going to wear it for a while. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the beautiful day that you've given us, the opportunity that we have to get up and come here and enjoy each other's company and the food and hear a great speaker and just enjoy the day. Lord, use us today to serve you in whatever way you put in front of us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Gary. And hey, Chris and Dwayne, if that's too loud back there, the feedback from the radio, just shut those doors if you want to. Do want to thank our sponsors real quick. 103.7 The Buzz. Thank you to Terry Mahan, Justin, Wes, all the guys back there, everybody, Roger, Scott, RJ Hawk, Justin Moore, and the guys for supporting what we do here at the Touchdown Club. Thank you to 103.7 The Buzz. Hatcher Agency, I don't know if you guys heard. Thank you, first of all, to Popeye for always picking up our guest speakers and getting them here ASAP. Also, Lane Hatcher had a good day yesterday. 4 touchdowns, over 400 yards passing. So that's great for Greg and for Lane, and appreciate what they do for the Touchdown Club at the Hatcher Agency and Twin City Limo. War Memorial Stadium, Shay Lewis, the Director of Arkansas Parks, we appreciate him. And Stacy Hurst, the Secretary of Department of Parks and Heritage and Tourism. Thank you so much to War Memorial Stadium. It is still, Rex, National Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And the last free checkups are done in North Little Rock September 29th at Arkansas Urology. Thanks to Scott Davis and Chris Shinup for their support. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichert. Great to have the ladies here with the Pulaski County Farm Bureau. Bring them more often, Todd. Leave the guys at home. Appreciate you having them here today. So Advantage Service Company, one of our second-year sponsors, they've got a video they want to show real quick, and then a special little announcement, if we can play that, Matt. And Kevin wanted to have you look at the table right now. There are stress balls, and we need them today. Stress balls all over the tables. There are 10 of them that have Kevin Brooks' business card attached to them. If you want to reach out and grab one of those real quick, that gives you a free annual maintenance agreement for your heating and air system. $200 value, includes a visit in the fall and the spring at zero charge. So fight for it. Go after it. Grab it. Don't be shy. Thanks to Advantage Service Company. Thank you, Kevin, for doing that. Great to have you as a sponsor. Appreciate you. There you go, Kevin. Also, Dairy Queen. Where's David Sharp at? I know David's sitting in. Great to have the athletic director from OBU with a big win yesterday. Thanks to the guys at Dairy Queen. Jessica and I did stop by the Big Red and DQ in Arkadelphia to manage our pain. Marty. You got to have comfort food. Well, we did. We went Blizzard, and I went fries. I'm sorry, I did, and I apologize. And I got to do that captain thing in a few weeks. I got to stop eating, but appreciate the Dairy Queen and their sponsor. Yes, I do. I got to lose 80 pounds in 4 weeks. The truth. And it's going to be tough to get there, but thank you to Dairy Queen. Simmons Bank Arena. Don't forget, Luke Bryan, October 8th. Kevin Gates, October 13th. Chris Stapleton, October 20th. Tickets are still available at Ticketmaster.com. So those are some great. I know that Marty is a great fan of country music of all kinds, especially country music. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Thank you to Simmons Bank Arena. Big Red Stores, as I mentioned, stopped by yesterday. You know what? All you folks in Texas can have your little Buc-ee's, your little Buc-ee's deal. Forget that. I felt really good when I finally got back to Arkansas. I could pull in a Big Red. Didn't have 1,000 people in there. Didn't have, Bucky underwear that you could buy. None of that stuff. Great to have Big Red. Made me feel it good. Made me feel at home. No Cam Little video today. It's too soon. We just do that. We do that out of respect for Cam. We don't want to do that. Cam Little has an NIL deal with Big Red, and it's just we've been playing all these videos. It's just we don't want to rub it in, but we love Big Red. We appreciate what you guys do. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. I want to mention Charlie Coleman. We always talk about Judy Henry. Charlie Coleman over here, 40-plus year practice at Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Focuses on bankruptcy, debtor and creditor rights, which I need help on occasionally. Whatever he can, business litigation, banking law, he's done it all. Charlie is the guy at Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Charlie, always great to have you here. You're almost here every week, and we appreciate you and Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Great to have the guys from Crane Automotive here every week. Larry Crane, we appreciate them. 23 locations, 1,000 employees. Crane team's got to make sure and ask for a great deal. Crane Automotive. Democrat Gazette, Amanda. Great to have you here today with our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. Is Wally here today? Did Wally make it? Always great to have Wally, and we appreciate his support for all these years. Couldn't do it without you. And last but not least, Simmons Bank. Chris White, Pat Anderson at the head table today. I was telling Marty, of course, Marty covers the Masters. And listen, Simmons Bank, picked out Will Zalatoris a few years ago, believed in him, and look what he's done already. And that's what Simmons Bank has done with Little Rock Touchdown Club. We appreciate their belief in us and taking us to new heights this year. I was texting Marty, and Marty was telling me, hey, man, we're getting ready to play the clip from Ed Orgeron that you guys had to touch. I mean, that's what was happening. We couldn't do it without a presenting sponsor like Simmons Bank and all of our great sponsors. Let's give them a big round of applause today. And since we're running a little bit short, I'll be real quick today on our Touchdown Club team. Best in the business, Doubletree Hotel, Matt Johnson, M&M Productions, Dwayne Duncan, R.J. Hawk, Meredith Scott Hell. We've got the best, Marty. Listen, you can go to all these other touchdown clubs, but nobody has a team like we do, checking in and setting up. Couldn't do it without Debbie Wyman's leadership. Let's give them all a big round of applause if you can. And our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. We've had a lot of great athletes in, but I'm not sure this guy, I'm not sure if he had anybody that's done all he's done in one game. So, R.J. Hawk, let's give it up for R.J. to welcome our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week.
Well, I know just watching ESPN, Marty's a big fan of small-town football, especially places like Hector, where our athlete has come from today. Jackson Taylor is the athlete, and I got to tell you guys, when you look at the numbers, against Clarendon 2 weeks ago, they won that game 31-30. He was 21 of 35 for 233 yards passing. He ran the ball 9 times for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. He made 4 extra points, and he also kicked the game-winning field goal of 22 yards in that ball game. Then you fast forward a week to Johnson County Westside, in which they won that game 42-6. He was just 8 of 9 passing for 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. He only had 1 carry in that game, so it was an off night on the ground for him. He was 6 of 6 on extra points. So really in 2 weeks, he's passed for 434 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's run the ball for 44 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. He's 10 of 10 on extra points, and he mixes in a 22-yard game-winning field goal. This week's All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week is Jackson Taylor from Hector. And real quick before we, I totally mentioned, I usually like to do it, Mark and Brooke Taylor, his parents made the trip. His coach Trevor Cooper's here. They brought a whole posse of folks down. We always want to say thanks to the parents because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have young men like this. So round of applause for his parents.
Says about an hour and a half drive. Hour and a half. Well, you're in for a treat today with Marty. Yeah, you picked a good day to be here, young man. And you're only a junior, so you can come back next year. So at this time, it was a crazy weekend in college football all over the country and in Arkansas, and nobody recaps it better than our man. Let's give it up for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everybody. Let's show some energy for Marty today. David did say, you know, it is. We've almost become used to heartbreak in that Southwest Classic. But, David, that contract is coming to an end in a couple of years, so you don't have to worry about it. And that'll make it easier, frankly. Hint, hint, Hunter, you're a check. To make sure there's a Little Rock game every year and we don't miss a year like we did this year. Well, I think that's going to make it easier from a scheduling standpoint there. So real quickly, Texas A&M 23, Arkansas 21, 63,580 in the house. The Aggies now hold more than 100,000, so you see why they want to go back home every other year. That is the 10th Aggie win in the last 11 meetings in this jinxed series, and it is, David hinted at this, the third time in the last 9 years that A&M has come from 14 down or more to win the football game. Horrible. Happened in 2014, happened in 2017, kept Arkansas from opening 4-0 in consecutive seasons for the first time since 88-89, Coach Hatfield's era. Last time that happened. K.J. Jefferson did rush for 105 yards and passed for 171, but of course his ball security mistake, we'll call it, changed the whole game. Maybe a 2-touchdown swing right there. So let's move off of that. I was going to move to, well, all of our Division I teams lost this week, so let's start with Division II now, because Arkansas teams won. They had to because they were playing each other. So, but I do have 3 winners here for you and 3 losers. But the biggest Division II game in the country was played in Arkansas on Saturday night. Number 9 Ouachita knocks off number 7 Harding, 21-13. Ouachita's defense shuts out Harding in the second half. Harding had 214 yards on the ground in the first half with that great triple option offense they still run. One of the few teams in college football that still do that. But Ouachita figured it out. Harding only had 58 yards rushing in the second half when they were shut out. So 2 top 10 teams, and I think you'll end up seeing probably both of them in the national playoffs. Southern Arkansas upsets previously undefeated Henderson 28-24. O.B. Jones threw for 3 touchdowns for the Mule Riders, and then the SAU defense held Henderson at the Rider 25 with 1:38 left in the game to seal the victory. UAM beats Arkansas Tech 35-14. The Boll Weevils are 3-1. Marty is ESPN's designated good old boy. You got to love, we got a college team called the Boll Weevils in Arkansas. We've got Mule Riders too. Razorbacks isn't our only unique one. We got Reddies here. We've even got Wonder Boys. Now, don't wonder about Tex boys; they'll be okay. But we've got a lot of unique mascots. You gotta love that. I talk about Marty being ESPN's designated good old boy. I'm reminded of the late great writer Louis Grizzard. Some of you may have liked as much as I did. He talked about when he first went to the Atlanta Journal and said the same guy had the outdoor beat and NASCAR, and he was God. So, NASCAR, hunting, fishing, how can you beat that beat at the newspaper? So here's what we've got. UAM's Demylon Brown, you're going to be hearing that name a lot. Great quarterback, rushed for 184 yards, passed for 114, had 298 of his team's 469 yards of offense. So Ouachita's 4-0, Harding's 3-1, UAM's 3-1, Henderson's 3-1, Southern Arkansas's 2-2, Arkansas Tech is 1-3. I'll hit on those other Division I games. ASU falls to 1-3 following a 29-6 loss at Old Dominion. ASU led 12-0 at the half, but was outscored 21-7 in the third quarter. Red Wolf quarterback, they've got to get better protection, was sacked 8 times in that football game. UCA also 1-3. Following a 35-27 loss to Southeast Missouri, Will McElvain passed for 284 yards for the Bears in a losing cause. UAPB now 2-2 following a 38-21 loss at Alcorn State. Alcorn has a transfer from Syracuse, who's a Mississippi native, named Jarvion Howard. Get this, he rushed for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Braves as they outscored the Golden Lions 28-7 in the second half. And even our NAIA teams lost. Oklahoma Panhandle lost to Line 26. Line lost to Oklahoma Panhandle 26-19. Arkansas Baptist lost to Langston 45-8. So a rare week, David, when no Arkansas teams beat an out-of-state team. None. None. All right, let's go to the SEC. Tennessee 4-0 now, 1-0 in conference, knocking off 2-2 Florida, which falls to 0-2 in conference. Full house in Knoxville. They'd gone through several years of a lot of empty seats, but the passion is back up there. Hendon Hooker, gotta love that name, throws for 349 yards and runs for another 112. Reminds me, Marty, this kind of line you would come out with when I say Hendon Hooker. Do you remember an old NFL player, David, named Fair Hooker? There was a player named Fair Hooker that once played in the NFL, and the great Alex Hawkins, as a color man, they called his name once, and Alex Hawkins said, "I've never met one." So you can use that later if you need to, Marty. All right, in the game that nobody wanted to win, did anybody else watch Auburn and Missouri? It's like, how can we lose this game? Auburn survives in overtime, 17-14. Tiger running back Nathaniel Price was going for the winning touchdown in overtime, tries to reach the ball out and drops it before he scores what would have been the game-winning TD. Those teams combined, this was a thriller, for 12 consecutive punts in the second half of that football game. Wow. Ole Miss is 4-0, but they struggled with 2-2 Tulsa before winning 35-27 in Oxford. Number 1 Georgia 4-0, but they also struggled against 1-3 Kent State before winning 39-27. Alabama, of course, 4-0, 55-3 over 3-2 Vanderbilt. Bryce Young passed for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns. Hogs going to have to find an answer for his passing on Saturday somehow. Kentucky 4-0. Kentucky. I mean, we got Kansas and Kentucky basketball schools 4-0. The world's upside down this year. 31-23 over Northern Illinois in Lexington. That game was tied at the half, however. LSU, after that opening loss, now 3-1, 38-0 shutout of New Mexico, which had just 88 yards of total offense. Mississippi State 3-1. That's the opponent a week from Saturday. After a 45-14 victory over Bowling Green, they have a quarterback named Will Rogers. He never met a defense he didn't like. Will Rogers threw for 406 yards and 6 touchdown passes. South Carolina now 2-2, 56-20 win over North Carolina Charlotte. So here's what you got. Alabama, Arkansas, of course, the big game, the CBS 2:30 game this week. You've got LSU at Auburn. You got Texas A&M at Mississippi State, Georgia at Missouri, Kentucky at Ole Miss. So 5 conference games. 2 other games, Eastern Washington's at Florida, South Carolina State at South Carolina. Now, here in the state, a smorgasbord of football. I worked on that word, David, just so I could impress Marty. All right, you got Alabama at Arkansas, of course, but you've also got Louisiana Monroe at Arkansas State, Austin Peay at UCA. Greatest yell, right, Marty? Let's go P that they do when they're at home in college football. You've got Oklahoma Baptist at Harding, Gary's alma mater, Oklahoma Baptist, Southeastern Oklahoma at Henderson, Southern Nazarene at Arkansas Tech, East Central Oklahoma at Southern Arkansas, and Trinity at Hendricks. So games in Fayetteville, Jonesboro, 2 in Conway, Searcy, Arkadelphia, Russellville, and Magnolia. No excuses. Get out and see a college football game on Saturday, everybody. Thank you.
I think we may need to have. We're sweating. Rex and I are sweating so much. I think we need like an ice tub down here that we can sort of jump in, or either have EMTs here at the end of each of our segments. This just in. So Arkansas versus Mississippi State, 11 a.m. SEC Network. So I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Yeah, again, I don't mind going on the road and playing. Those cowbell ringers aren't quite woke up at 11 o'clock in the morning. Yes. You guys, I told you I don't read much. I'm like, where's Johnny from El Paso? Where is it? So Marty, this guy right here reads like 1,000 books a year. It's unbelievable. But I've been reading every one of our speakers this year. Kirk Herbstreit, John Gruden, Ed Orgeron, Paul Feinbaum. And this was my latest book, so I'm about halfway through it. Really great book. So if you're going to read some of the amazing experiences of Marty, it's really, really cool. I encourage you to do it. Really just has burst onto the scene in the last 15 years and done amazing work. Let's check out the introduction from our man Steve Sullivan at KTV, and we'll get our guest speaker up here to share his thoughts.
That's Marty Smith in his early days at ESPN. Successful ESPN personalities, Marty Smith.
All right. Come on up, Marty. Thank you.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that.
Welcome.
You did a great job, man. I want to bottle up that passion you got. I want to take some of that home with me.
All right, Marty, great to have you here.
How about I had a video intro?
How about that? Listen, we do things right, Little Rock Touchdown
I will
Club.
tell you, first, I just want to thank all you guys so much for having me today. David's passion is infectious. And when he asked me to come out here and spend a little time with you guys, I was so thrilled by the opportunity because I love your state. I love the people in your state. I love the authenticity of the people in your state. I love Arkansas Razorback fans because, and I mean it. And the reason that I say that is I grew up in the southwest corner of Virginia, just west of where Virginia Tech is. And there's a lot of similarities between the way you guys take your identity and your pride from the university and the football program. It's very similar to the way we do over there, and it matters deeply. And you're always so kind to us when we come to your state. You treat us first class in every way, although I just learned from my friends on radio that somebody got a private jet to come speak to you, and it wasn't me. So I'm going to have to talk to David offline about that. But really appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, next year we'll do that. We'll do that for...
You got to earn your stripes before you get the PJ, man.
Listen, I saw Marty. Matt, go ahead and put you there. So Saturday you were at Texas Live. So I'm going to show you the first picture here. This is me. I'm over there visiting with Amanda Brooks over there, Marty, who is in charge of PR.
Brooks.
So I'm looking, and there's Tim Tebow to the right, Hog fans behind, and I see Marty and McGee there, Ryan and Marty. So go a little bit closer there in the next picture. And they're wearing cowboy hats, and I just want to know what is in the yellow container there.
All right, so there's a little story behind that yellow container. That is a Yeti tumbler cup that is etched or graphicked or however you say it with the Marty and McGee logo, and the reason is because I love my coffee. I love my cold beer and I love my coffee. Y'all know about cold beer around here, don't you? So every morning when we're doing the Marty McGee program, for years I would bring a Starbucks cup just from the Starbucks straight into the studio and drink my coffee during the show. And my bosses are like, dude, they're not sponsors. And so we had some cups. Actually, the wonderful folks at Yeti made those for us and shipped them to my house. So that's kind of the story behind that. I promise you, brother, it was coffee.
Okay, I've seen some of your shows where I don't think that's what it is.
No, there's a whole lot of times when it just might be something else.
Well,
Brown.
you know, your man, one of your guys from the Dan Levitard show. I love this. Show the next one here, Matt. This is what you were so inspired.
Isn't that funny?
So you sort of cut off at the top there, but instead of Garth Brooks, it's Marth Brooks. That would be the Marty Brooks there. Look at you. I mean, you wear the cowboy hat well.
We did not know. My friends over here who've now departed said, dude, you're wearing Jordans with a cowboy hat and a suit. I said, first of all, I didn't know we were going to have cowboy hats. And the first cowboy hat that they gave me when we first arrived was a size 7. I got a lot of hair. All right? The size 7 made it to about right here. And it was cutting the circulation off to my brain, and I looked exactly like Woody from Toy Story. So I asked my wonderful friends to get me a 7 1/4, and I look a little less like Woody from Toy Story. But still, I know there's a lot of guys in the state of Texas that would whip my backside.
Now, Marty,
like
obviously there was a lot on the line this week. It was all setting up perfectly. The word was at game day, pretty good chance it was going to Fayetteville.
I think there's a very solid chance that was probably going to be the case.
Yeah, and so it looked like Arkansas was the better team. They come out, dominate the first quarter, 250 total yards to about 50, and then the unexplainable again happens in that series where KJ Jefferson fumbles the ball.
Trying to make a play. Wasn't the time to try to make that play.
Right.
And that is a phenomenal kid.
Yeah, great kid.
He is a wonderful person. He does great things for other people. He's a great football player. He's really this season learned how to push the football, which was kind of the next step for him as a player. And he just pressed a little bit right there. And yes, it was a seismic turn. It was a 14, somebody said it a moment ago.
It 21-7.
It was a 13-point shift immediately right there. And the entire complexion of the game changed. And ultimately, A&M wins the game. Huge win for them. Rough way to lose for you guys. But I just said this outside as well. If I was y'all, I would be bursting with optimism. The energy here is palpable. Coach Pittman is the perfect guy for this program. You have great players. You have some good players, but you have some great players. Drew Sanders is a great football player. I can tell you, having been in Alabama a lot. I'm at Alabama more than I'm in my own bed, I think. Coach Saban was not thrilled that he lost that young man because of that young man's tremendous potential. He is a great player. He's going to be a real great player here. So I would be overwhelmed with optimism, even though I'm sure you're uber disappointed that it didn't go your way Saturday night.
Yeah, you still have everything in front of you, obviously a tough chore ahead.
Very.
One of the things you get to do, you and Ryan get to do every SEC Media Days when I go is you have you got your private room over there and you get all the players and coaches coming by. So over the years you've had a chance to get to know Brett Bielema,
Yep.
Chad Morris,
Yep.
And this guy, Sam Pittman, and I just wanted to give you a chance to tell us what you think about him compared to maybe some of the other coaches we've had.
I'll start with the spirit of the person. He's one of those people that you don't even have to know, but if you get the opportunity to engage with him, even for a few moments, you leave better. He has this way of making every single person in the room feel like the most important person in the room, and that's a really rare and special trait. And he's been amazing to me, and Ryan as well. But he's rooted in this. If you're going to be the head coach at the University of Arkansas, you have to live it, love it, and be rooted within it. And he was even before he came here. Y'all know that. He's been all over the college football landscape. My Lord, I think he's coached at 47 schools. But when he got the opportunity to come here and be the guy, he obviously had learned under some of the greatest, and he brought all of that pedigree of understanding of how to coach young men and do it with his personality, which is a very unique, authentic personality, and it's perfect for this place. I did not, look man, it is extremely difficult to turn a culture at all. And he did. Like you look at Mark Stoops. I love Mark Stoops. Talking about Kentucky. It was funny you said, Kentucky's undefeated? They're really good. And he's done a great job in Lexington, Kentucky, but it's his 10th year. All right? It's his 10th year there. And he's won 10 games, 2 of the past 4. Early on, that was not the narrative. It is hard to turn a culture. And Sam did it in 2 years. 2 years! And I remember asking him, back to what David was saying about having the opportunity to sit with these gentlemen and really dive in, not just to their coaching philosophies and X's and O's and all that stuff that makes our eyes cross sometimes, unless you're the guy that had 16 tackles against Bo Jackson in the Liberty Bowl.
What? How did Marty know that? Well,
So, I love diving into the human element. I want to know who you are. I already know what you are. I want to know who you are. And I asked him, how did you do this fast? And he said, the kids were there. They just had to believe. And they were so beat down emotionally. They were beat down when Chad left here. And he came in and he told them, damn it, you can do this. And we're going to do this. Believe. And all they have done is believe. And what have they done? They have won. And that is a testament to that man.
Yeah, well said. I agree 100%. Yeah, that's worth a round of applause. Yeah, listen. There have been some tough Mondays on touchdown clubs in the past few years, Marty. So it's a lot better now. This is you guys being in Arlington was your second time with the Razorback game. The first was a couple weeks ago in Fayetteville, and you ran across an old classmate of mine, that guy right there. So I want you to give me your thoughts on John Daly and hanging out with JD.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm drunk. Y'all, we've had some moments on the Marty McGee program, and we say this all the time, specifically about Marty and McGee. Nobody has more fun than we do. Nobody tries to get to the essence of the person the way that we do and keep it really light. And we believe that we can do that because when it's serious, we get it right. And we take that very serious. I mean, we're national reporters in myriad sports. I don't just cover college football. I go straight from college football right into college basketball, through the Final Four, to the Masters for 9 days, then the NFL Draft, then the Kentucky Derby, then the Preakness Stakes, then the PGA Championship. It's on and on and on all year long. So if there's a humongous story going on in sports, one of us two knuckleheads is probably involved in it in some way. But then John Daly comes on our program, and whom I just adore him. Back to authenticity. I care so much about who. And man, that guy's one of one. And we hand him this hillbilly headline. Any of y'all watch our program? If you don't, I ain't proud. If you do, you know what hillbilly headlines is. We have this stupid segment that we do where we find Florida man. I mean, the whole thing's based on Florida man. All we got to do is just pick up a newspaper somewhere in Florida and we're going to find one. Anyway, we hand Daly this hillbilly headline to read, and Daly sits down on the set, for those of you guys who didn't see it, and we're like, all right, John, how about you lead us off? And he goes, boys, I ain't going to lie, I'm drunk. I mean, it went crazy. We got on the airplane, y'all. We left the University of Arkansas and hauled freight to XNA, which any of y'all who've flown out of XNA know you got to take a dirt road to get to an airport. That's sort of weird. I mean, it was kind of wild. Well, you do, right? You got to go down a dirt road by some guy's cattle farm to get to the airport. And so we get into the airport, and we're drinking a beer right before our flight takes off. I sit down on the airplane. The show hadn't been over for an hour. And it was like 1,000,003 views on John Daly going, boys, I ain't going to lie, I'm drunk. Here we are reporting on the Masters, reporting on College Game Day, all this stuff that's super serious, tear-jerker stories. Some people like it. I jump in a duck pond, people go crazy. John Daly tells us he's wasted. Boom. I mean, God bless America.
Yeah, he's great guy. JD hadn't changed a bit since he was in school. And I also reading your book. Eric Church wrote the
forward. Yeah, he's one of my best friends. He's a great man.
So country music, I think all music, but especially country music, is very important to you. You write about that in your book. And I know there's one guy that actually does a radio show with me, Roger and RJ. That guy right there.
Great man right there.
Yeah, I think
he's woo pig as it gets now.
Yeah, listen, he doesn't, I mean, when we talk about other schools, he hates everybody.
He
Yeah.
hates LSU. Like, I always find it interesting talking to Justin about anything Arkansas. And his wife is a Tiger, as you well know. And he is like, man, I hate LSU. He just can't stand them. I'm like, what did they do to you? I could see if you hated another, but I guess it's a state line thing. I don't know what y'all got going on there, but he is an extremely talented person, and he is a great person and a great friend. And obviously, he's number one again.
11th number one.
Number one again, and I'm thrilled for him and all his success. I met Justin early in his career, and I was really taken because there weren't a whole lot of people, singing songs saying, I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I might pay attention to this dude. Then I met him, and I was like, man, whose ass you going to kick? I love him to death.
Yeah, it's interesting. You actually wrote your book in a music theme. And so, not everybody, matter of fact, I think your podcast logo is a guitar pick with looks like lines through. I happen to notice that.
I took a really, I think, unique sort of approach to writing my book, and I maintain that Matthew McConaughey ripped off my plan. His book, Green Lights, if you guys have not read Matthew's book called Green Lights, go get it. It's tremendous. But I just decided that in today's world where there's so much distraction, where all of us are tethered to those god-awful cell phones all the time, I wanted to write a record album when I wrote the book that is called Never Settle. I wrote it a couple years ago. It did very well. New York Times bestseller. I'm humbled beyond words that it's done as well as it has. And I want to say this quickly about that book too. It has been a movement. It is not a moment, it is a movement, and here's why. We have done speeches all over the Southeastern Conference footprint, business schools, fraternities, sororities, whatnot. And every single time that I do those speeches, we ask for the assemblage to buy books to give out to the assemblage, right? And as a result of all of those speeches, we've given away multiple full college scholarships based off of that revenue. And so it's been an amazing movement. Every single young person we've impacted, they're first generation college students. And so it's super cool what it's done. Anyway, I did not write a traditional type of book that builds chapter upon chapter towards some sort of climax like books have for generations and centuries. I wrote a record album that was a series of individual tracks that when put together in its entirety takes you on somewhat of a thematical journey. And it seems to have worked because the feedback I've gotten from that script is not, oh, that's cool, you met Nick Saban or Tim Tebow or Cristiano Ronaldo or Tiger Woods or whomever. It is, you saved my life. I had to have hope. I was listless, I was hopeless, and that thing was this vehicle to help me, and gracious sakes, it's humbling. So thank you for reading it. I appreciate it.
It's a great book. Y'all need to get it. It's very enjoyable. Great stories. And there's a couple things I'm going to get to here in a second, too, about the book. Matt, pop up photo number 7. Obviously, we talk about this show that you and
stepbrother's photograph
that you and Ron have. It is so I've been doing radio for about 20 years altogether here in Little Rock. And I think Roger and RJ and Tommy and all of us, have done that show. I think it's similar to what you guys do every Saturday. It's barbershop talk. I mean, one day you could be talking about you when you were youth and doing Christian rock bands, hair bands, and
Pantera, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all the things, all the areas you go, and I just think it's for those who don't know about that show. What is it? What's the best way to describe it?
It really is that. It's two buddies that have known each other for 25 years now. So the way he and I met, McGee was actually an executive producer before he made his way onto camera. He was the executive producer of Fox Network's daily NASCAR show many moons ago. And at the time, I was a writer covering NASCAR for Turner Sports and NASCAR's website called NASCAR.com. And I got this random cold call one day in 2005, I think, or 6, one of the years, from an 860 number, and I'm super duper shady. I screen every call. If I don't have your number, I'm probably not answering it. But I was led to answer this one, so I pick it up. I'll never forget it. I was coming home from Costco. My little boy, he's not little anymore, he'll be 17 next month, Cameron, was in the back seat. He was an infant. And I was coming home on I-77 with this sheet cake in the back, and my son wailing, and my phone rings, and I pick it up. It's this guy named Jack Obringer. He says, "Hi, Marty, my name's Jack Obringer." And I said, "How can I help you, brother?" He goes, "I work for ESPN." And I went, "Oh, awesome, what's up?" He goes, "I need you to keep this under your hat. But in 2007, we're going to re-enter the broadcast landscape for NASCAR racing. We're going to sign a rights deal to cover NASCAR for the next 8 years. And I am charged with putting together they call us talent on air. That's a ridiculous moniker, but that's what they call us. I'm in charge of putting together the talent base for our ancillary programming, Sports Center. There was a show called NASCAR Now, Daily NASCAR Show, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody that I talk to says, I got to call you. And I was like, oh, I think you have the wrong Marty. There's a guy named Marty Snyder who actually does, I've never done TV before. You got the wrong dude. And he goes, I know who Marty Snyder is. I need you to think about it. I'm like, is this a job offer, man? He was like, not yet. Just think about it. Well, I went home and told Lainey, my wife. I said, hey, I think ESPN just hired me a job. What do you think? She was like, for what? I said, like to put me on TV. Like to talk for a living. She was like, I don't know about this, man. But I would rather crash and burn and fail knowing I can't than wonder 20 years from now if I could have. And so when they did ultimately offer me the job, I did it. And throughout the time of working through deciding whether I should do it, I went and visited McGee. And I sat down, shut his office door, went and sat him down. I'm like, hey, man, these people want to put me on TV. Like, what do you think about this? He goes, hey, well, you got to do it. He said, you got to do it. Well, fast forward about 10 years. He goes, dude, I think ESPN wants to put me on TV. I'm like, you got to do it. And now, because of the belief of people that work at SEC Network, they just saw something in our relationship, this chemistry. Because here's the big secret about Marty and McGee, we ain't trying. We don't spend all this exhaustive time with a legal pad with Arkansas Pine Bluff's rushing stats on it. We don't. We just sit there together. How about I pulled out Arkansas Pine Bluff? What are they?
The Golden Lions.
Golden Lions. So yeah, they're golden. That's right. And so the great secret of the show is that the entire show is our chemistry. And so somebody saw something in that. Then they give us this random platform. Hey, we want you guys to interview the head coaches at SEC Media Days. Oh, that'd be cool. Well, then all of a sudden they're like, we want to give you guys a show on Wednesday night. Then they're like, last year, hey, we want you guys to go on campus on Saturday mornings. And we can't believe, we're just waiting on them to figure out that we're fraud redneck kids and fire us. And there are envelopes, y'all, and there are borders on those envelopes, and I have pushed that thing. I can't believe that I have not gone through the envelope yet. I have said things on that television program I cannot even believe. I've gone home, my Laney's like, son, you are getting close, buddy. We're just waiting on them to fire us one day.
Well, you know, Matt, show the picture. I cropped it the first time, but I'm going to show it one more time. There is Ryan in the background. You sort of see,
that's McGee, right there.
Yeah, that's what he does. And
we always say I'm the sixth Backstreet Boy, and he is the guy that comes to your door to sell you Funkin' Wagnall's encyclopedia.
And the great thing,
any y'all old enough to remember Funkin' Wagnall's? They had like the gold emblazoned borders on the pages. Man,
yes.
My mom won those at Food Line one time when I was about 9 years old. I thought we'd done hit the lottery.
Now the thing about it is that you two together, you know, it's to me what's unique is that you both wrote. You wrote for Roanoke, Lynchburg.
Yep.
I mean, you were a writer.
Yeah,
before.
we were newspaper writers.
Yeah, so I think there's tremendous value and credibility before you do TV. Is it when you're a writer? I mean, I think that's a huge credibility.
Well, I think if you just look at ESPN, right? I mean, Adrian Wojnarowski breaks every NBA story, newspaper guy. Adam Schefter breaks every NFL story, newspaper guy.
That's right.
A lot of us kind of took that path to them believing enough in us to give us, like I'll never forget that call with Jack. When I said to him, I don't know television, he said, it doesn't matter. I'll teach you television. I need who and what you know in that NASCAR garage. And the first time I was ever on TV, y'all, was on Sports Center, and I was holding the microphone, scared to death. But they did, and they have given me opportunity along the way. I mean, when they dropped me in college football, you want to hear a funny story? This story will take just a minute, but y'all, it's a pretty funny story. So, last race of the 2014 NASCAR season was in Miami, Florida, okay? I had been gone for 20 weeks straight. My wife was a single mother. We had 8, 5, and 2 at home. God bless the moms, by the way, because like my wife allowed me to chase a dream even when it was hard on her. And I'm so full of gratitude for her spirit, and she has the best direction and the best compass about what's right and how to manage things. And I get home from that last race, she was cooked. She had tears in her eyes. Martin, I got to have you home. There's one person who can call me. My parents are deceased. Lainey calls me Martin. That's it. So I get home. She's really distraught about it. And I'm like, don't worry. I had made the decision at that time to kind of bet on myself. ESPN was losing the NASCAR rights. They were going to NBC Network. And so rather than go to Fox or NBC or maybe take another opportunity in the NASCAR world, I decided to stay at ESPN and just see what happened. Chainsaw races in Idaho, cornhole tournament down here in Rock Hill, I don't care. I'll cover anything. But that deal wasn't supposed to start till January 1 of 15. So I had this 6-week period where I was just going to be home. I get home. We put our older 2 in the car. She takes them to school. I sit down on my couch. My little 2-year-old daughter, Vivian, she's now 10, was playing in the floor, and I take that, you know when you come home from a big business trip or finish a big project, you have that like cleansing breath. Take a sip of my coffee, open up my cell phone, there is an email there at the top of the email from a guy named Lee Fitting. Lee Fitting runs all of football at ESPN now, Monday Night Football, all the college stuff. At the time, he was the executive producer of College Game Day. And his email said, Marty, Lee Fitting, executive producer of College Game Day. I love your passion. It belongs in college football. Start studying. I'm going to embed you with one of the 4 teams that qualify for the inaugural college football playoff. This thing may as well have been written in Sanskrit. I could not believe what I was reading. Like, this has to be a prank. That was ESPN's biggest initiative at the time, and I had never covered college football before. So I called Lainey. She disputes this part of the story, but I'm telling you, she answered, where are they sending you? I said, when you get home, I just need to talk through this with you. So I explained to her what it is. My wife at the time was not the hugest like college football person. So she's like, I don't care what they're sending you to do. I need you home. So I said to her, look, I knew that email was a treasure map. I knew that if I followed its direction and I was willing to dig deep enough within myself, we would find riches beyond our wildest dreams. And I ain't talking about money. I'm talking about life experience. And that has ultimately been exactly what happened. So, I take the gig. ESPN drops me in Columbus, Ohio like an alien from Mars. I sound like this. I covered NASCAR racing and they send me to Ohio State. Well, all of y'all who are hardcore college football people may remember, they won the national championship that year with a 3rd-string quarterback named Cardale Jones. They had pros everywhere. That entire roster was full of pros. Well, day 3, I'm in Columbus. Day 3, the sports information guy comes over. He said, hey, you should probably meet Urban. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd like to meet Urban. That's cool. I like Urban Meyer, man. That's cool. So I go into Urban's office, and he's got his yellow legal pad with Austin Pease or whoever, Let's Go P on his. So, he's like looking at these papers. And Jerry Emig was the gentleman's name. He's like, Urban, this is Marty. He's going to be here from ESPN. Urban sticks his hand out, says, hey, just don't get in my way. I'm like, oh, hell, I won't get in your way, man. I'll be right over there by that stained glass window. But I said, hey, could you just look at me a second? If there's anything you want the world to know about your program, I'll be right over there. And I will disseminate the information exactly the way you tell it to me. And he goes, okay. Well, again, I'm with them for the next 7 weeks as they upset Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and then they beat the brakes off of Oregon in the national championship. Here's where the story gets good. Fast forward a year. Alabama-Clemson won out in the first national championship. They played against each other out in a big toaster out in Phoenix, Arizona. We being College Game Day, ESPN had 3 coaches as guest analysts that week. We had Hugh Freeze, who was at Ole Miss at the time. Of course, he's at Liberty now. We had Brian Kelly, who was at Notre Dame. Of course, he's at LSU now with his family. And we had Urban Meyer, who was still at Ohio State at the time. So, if you guys could see our workroom at the national championship, it's kind of like stepping on an anthill. And all them ants go flying around everywhere because we're all going to this live shot, that show, this radio, that show. We're all running around all over the place. And so I come in from a live shot. I get grabbed around the shoulders. I look up. It's Urban. He goes, I need to talk to you. I was like, all right. He goes, I can see you're thrashing. When you're done, I'll be sitting right over there. And I'm like, no, man, I got time. He goes, when you're done. I said, okay, cool, Coach. So I get done. It's like 10 minutes to kick off. And y'all, I walk around this couch, okay? He's sitting on the edge of this couch. I walk around this couch, and I got on a knee like I was in the huddle. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, hey, Coach, what's up? He goes, remember when we met? I said, yes, sir. I remember when we met very well. You gave me time, attention, detail, information I hadn't earned and didn't deserve. And I'm forever grateful. He goes, I'm talking here. I said, yes, sir. He goes, can I tell you what I was thinking when you walked into my office? I said, yes, sir. He goes, Florida State gets Tom Rinaldi. Alabama gets Kaylee Hartung. Oregon gets Samantha Ponder. And they send us this redneck from NASCAR? That is what they think of us? Well, I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, tuck my tail, and run. And he hits me on the chest. He goes, I want you to know this. He said, it took me 3 days. I said, 3 days for what? He goes, 3 days to know that you were the perfect guy for that team that year. And I said, well, may I ask how? He said, because of the way my players responded to you. You cared about them. And we were an underdog. Nobody believed that we even belonged in that playoff. And nobody believed you belonged in that playoff either. Okay, Coach, thanks.
Listen, that's a remarkable story. Speaking of, obviously, you know everything about football. We've got to, if you haven't seen this, one of my favorite clips of you and Ryan McGee. This was a Razorback. It was to promote football, I think 2-3 years ago. And Matt, just jack up the sound and make sure we can hear. It's really quick.
Oh, Lord.
Big Soy Razorbacks! Woo! God, that was awesome.
Let me tell you guys the backstory on that. This is hilarious. So, it is hot up here. So, as stated a few moments ago, Justin Moore's a great friend of mine. We're like brothers. And so, I didn't know, neither McGee and I, full disclosure, had no damn idea how to do the Woo Pig Suey chant. No clue. And so, I'm like, who can we call? I'm like, I know who we can call. So I call up JM. And he answers the phone. He's like, hey, buddy. I said, you know you got a thick Southern accent when I make fun of you. I'm like, hey, buddy. I said, hey, bro, I got a question, man. I need you to walk me through how to do the Woo Pig Suey thing. And he was like, all right, cool. He's like, man, hey, hold on. Let me call you back. Let me call back. So I'm like, I don't know what that was about. McGee's like, did you get it? I'm like, no, still don't know. He said he's got to call me back. Like 15 minutes later, JM calls me back, and he's like, sorry about that, man. He goes, I was in the bracelet line at Disney World. Ella done lost her bracelet, and I had to get a new one. And they called my name right when you called me. So then Justin proceeds to spend the next 15 minutes teaching us how to do the Razorback deal. That's our tutor right there.
Love that.
That's his handiwork. How y'all think we did?
Very good. In the book, you talk about your the experience of being with your dad, going to see Hokie games. Obviously, there's the book, Never Settle. And I thought it was great. I guess 2-3 years ago, you want to do a letter to college football. We've got that. I want you to listen to it. It's about 1 minute and 30 seconds long, but it was there. The background was there at Virginia Tech in the stadium there. Just listen to what Marty had to say about what college football means.
I bring it to television the way I do. And in thinking about it, the only way I can truly articulate it was to write it. So I wrote a letter. I want to read it to you. Dear college football, you offer a unique brand of kinship, fellowship found nowhere else, and I mean nowhere. Your traditions on these crisp fall Saturdays unify us, even in moments of division. We are foes between your lines, but oddly your lines tend to erase those drawn between us and around us in our daily lives, and you create lasting memories. For me, in recent years, those memories live in little towns all across this nation with huge identities built upon your foundation. Places named Tuscaloosa and Baton Rouge, Columbus and Clemson. But the sweetest of those memories for me live right here in this little town, Blacksburg, Virginia. And in fact, in those very seats up here to my right. Those are the seats peering down from the ridge, down upon my childhood dreams. Those are the seats I shared with my daddy. Felt his calloused hand upon my knee, saw him smile. I felt important to him here, had his attention, felt his love and hope he felt mine. Around here people know this, but when my daddy died 10 years ago, I lost a little piece of myself. And the only place I can find it is right here in Lane Stadium. So tonight, as that pregame clock eases towards the 5-minute mark, and Johnny Cash introduces Enter Sandman, and 66,000 people start jumping like wild people, and the electricity in the air here reaches a fever pitch, I will smile. And I'll probably weep a little bit too. A lot of you can relate. You've told me so in those little towns all over this nation, because for a lot of you, just like for me, fall Saturdays are so much more than just game day. Thank you, college football.
Yeah, how about that? Good stuff.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't expect that. Thank you. Growing up, especially when I was real small, we didn't have a whole lot. My old man worked a lot, and he wasn't around because he was trying to keep our lights on and food in our belly and stuff. And but there were those days, man, when he would come wake me up, and we had a cattle farm, so he'd wake me up early a lot. And normally that's what he woke me up early for, but there'd be those Saturdays, man, when he'd wake me up and he'd say, "Boy, get dressed, we're going over the mountain." And I knew I got to be in that energy. It was so exciting because I got to see him completely uninhibited, just giving it hell for the Hokies. And I got to feel his love and hope he felt mine. And I got a Reese cup and a fountain Coke. Man, we didn't get that stuff. And so I told Coach Beamer that story. Shane is one of my best friends too. We actually grew up together. Blacksburg's the next town over from where I grew up. We grew up playing every sport against each other, and I was covering a basketball game, Kentucky at South Carolina, back in March or February of this year, and I went over to Shane's house afterwards, and Coach Beamer was there. Frank was there, and I had never really, as long as I've known him, and I've known him since I was in my teens, but I had never had the opportunity just to say thank you, because no matter where you live now, because of what he built in Blacksburg, you know where Blacksburg is. And when you think about Blacksburg, you think about Virginia Tech football. And so those memories with my dad they are special beyond words, and I miss him every day, and it's crazy, the blessings that I've received in this job and the people I've gotten to meet or interview or fellowship with, I still want to call him all the time, and Mom too. But man, that was cool. Thank you guys. I wasn't ready for that.
No, that's good stuff. All right, I'm going to wrap up with this real quick. So, Matt, I want you to go through. These are the shot number 16. I want you to just go through these real quickly. These are the people that you've been around and interviewed, Marty, over the years. So there's Dale Earnhardt Jr., Nick Saban, Tiger Woods, Tim Tebow. One more. There's Michael Jordan.
The GOAT.
So here's my thing to you. So my favorite part of your book is not all those. Is I have the chance too to meet a lot of cool people, but the next picture is the one that meant the most to me in your book. So that's Olivia Quigley, and that was a girl you met that was at International Special Olympics, and she died not long after that.
You mind if I tell the story?
Tell the story.
So I get asked every day what interview was the most impactful in your life, and they're expecting those other people, and I always say that young lady right there. So in 2015, we got the opportunity at ESPN to go broadcast the Special Olympics World Games in L.A. And we made the decision as a group that we were going to broadcast them just like the Olympic Games. And we go to L.A., and my role on that broadcast group was to embed myself and immerse myself with the United States teams to learn their individual and team stories so that I might disseminate those globally throughout the 2.5 weeks we were there, but specifically during the 3.5-hour live global broadcast on ABC of the opening ceremony. So it was a super hot June day. I walk into the track stadium at the University of California, Riverside, and I'm chatting with the track coach, a lady named Bonnie Kahn, and she's sharing this person's story with me, that person's story with me. They're all overcoming because these are athletes with intellectual disabilities who've been told their entire life, you can't, you won't, don't try, you're not good enough. That crap is what they've been fed. And here they were doing it. And so the energy in the track stadium was unbelievably beautiful. I look over to my left and I see this athlete over there, all by themselves, bald-headed, stretching on this bench like you'd find on the sideline at a high school football stadium, this aluminum bench. And I asked the coach, I'm like, who's that? She goes, oh, that's Olivia. And I said, I'll be right back. And I went over there and I sat down beside her and I put my arm around her and I said, what are you doing over here all by yourself? She said, I'm just so tired. I said, what do you mean you're tired? We just got started. Everybody's having a great time. Look. She said, one word, chemotherapy. Olivia was 24 years old, adopted from China at 3 by her parents, Dan and Judy, in Wisconsin. They did not know upon adoption that Olivia had autism. For Olivia, autism was a condition, it was not a definition. As I chatted with her, she proceeded to tell me that she had been undergoing this exhaustive 5 months chemotherapy and radiation treatment to battle stage 4 breast cancer. But when she got the call from the Special Olympics World Games that she could compete in LA against other athletes all over the globe, she called her oncologist and said, I'm done with this. I'm going to go there and I'm going to win medals and I'm going to show ladies all over the world what they can do while they're battling this disease. So obviously I'm listening to her say this and I'm completely enthralled. She had this beautiful way of chasing your eyes while you spoke to her to make sure you were listening. Well, we conclude our conversation that day and she just says to me, can you just please tell everyone how happy I am? I said, of course I'll do that. Well, I interviewed her on the opening ceremony live. She had on that little head covering. I then write about her. I then report on her throughout the week. She becomes this big story. So we get a week later to the University of Southern California track stadium where she gets in the blocks, the gun goes off, she runs the 100 meters, and she wins the gold medal. She collapses in exhaustion at the finish line. The stands are going berserk. A couple days after that, she is the anchor leg on the 4x100 gold medal winning team. The stands are going berserk. She ultimately leaves there. We have an arm at ESPN called ESPNW that champions females of sport, women of sport, and they have this massive banquet at the end of every year in New York City. All Olivia ever wanted to do was see the New York City lights. She got invited to be the keynote speaker at that event. Elena Deladon, Serena Williams, all of them. She is speaking to these people. She was this light in the world. Well, we maintained a relationship. She would text me all the time, you're tired of Matt, your hair looks funny. She was awesome. She got a job at the Children's Hospital of Wisconsin. She got a dog. She got a brown belt in Taekwondo. She became this indomitable force. Well, the cancer did not relent. It moved to her organs, her spine, ultimately made its way to her brain and took her from us in the fall of 16. I come home from covering an LSU football game. I'll never forget this. Open up my mailbox. I'm standing in the middle of the street in front of my home. There's one of those manila envelopes in the mailbox, the yellow kind that has the bubble wrap inside. And I pull open this envelope, and inside are two things. There is a piece of stationery and a black velvet box. So I open the stationery. It is from her mother, Judy, whom I had gotten to know very well. And in that letter, Judy thanked me and ESPN because, according to her, because we paid Olivia mind as a human being, it completely changed their familial dynamic. She went from this angry person who felt misunderstood and unheard to infused with self-confidence. They didn't have to talk to her in a certain way anymore. They were able to communicate in a completely different fashion. And Judy said that before Olivia passed away, she created something of a last will and testament, and she wanted her special friend, that's what she called me, to have that black velvet box. Y'all want to know what was in that black velvet box? Her 100-meter gold medal from the Special Olympics World Games. And that medal sits on my desk in Charlotte, North Carolina, every single day, open, so that I have a tangible reminder of the power of kindness. We do not have to have Walton's money to change the world. If we offer time, if you walk into the Starbucks and you ask that barista, how's your day going? They might be having a terrible day. But you paying them attention and offering them your soul will change that day. And then maybe that person behind you in line's having a bad day, and that barista then changes their day. And then maybe they let somebody into traffic who's a little bit late for work. And it becomes a chain of events because kindness is undefeated, man.
I can't think of a better way to end this. Let's give it up for our man Marty Smith. Great job, Marty. Perfect.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. I appreciate y'all.
We'll do some pictures real quick.
Love to. Absolutely.
My dad would have been
Do